Well, it's daybreak on Arise News, and it's time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. Clearly taking a look at what's making the rounds in the papers this morning. Let's start off here with Nigeria, with the headline on this day newspaper. The screaming headline there says, how Tinubu's zero commitment at London meeting forced Wike back to Atiku. The rider there says engagement between PDP presidential candidate, Rivers governor, face saving. Another says Obasanjo denies supporting any candidate, plans to disclose own agenda soon. That's the screaming headline on this day newspaper this morning.
Let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. PDP and WC divided over IU chairman's fate uncertain. Libyan factional governments clash, 32 killed, 159 injured. Unpaid salaries, Plateau, Benue, under workers, others grown. That's on page 2. And ASU strike enters 196th day. The union decides today.
All right, let me just follow it up. In the Nation newspaper, that talk on ASU to review 6-month-old strike, why government can't ban union. This is by Femi Falana. Obasanjo, I have no preferred candidates, but national agenda on my mind. Ex-president visits Babangida Abdulsalami and Ugwuanyi, governor of Enugu State. Federal government on the top mast. Federal government to block illegal diversions on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Wike gets Rivers PDP backing on call for a use removal. And you see the picture of Ondo State Governor there, Akeredolu, asking teachers, don't enroll your kids in private school. Let's go to the next paper.
Of course, taking a look at The Guardian this morning, the screaming headline here reads, Obasanjo meets Abdul Salami, IBB to unveil 2023 agenda soon. A quick look at the riders here show Obasanjo, he says, I have a national agenda, not a specific candidate. Atiku to also receive Shekarau, other defectors into PDP in Kano today. You did hear that on the bulletin here on Arise News. And we actually have all the headlines making the rounds on this end paper. The NDDC here says, don't set Niger Delta on fire. South elders warn Malami. You can find that story on page 3 of The Guardian this morning. And ASU accuses education minister of aggression. That's on page 29 of The Guardian.
The international papers now. Financial Times. Policymakers warn of challenges in tackling new era of inflation. Utilities and regulators are not fit for purpose. That's according to an ex-government advisor.
Let's look at Daily Express. Daily Express, millions facing hardship with end of cash in 5 years. And the story on Trust there, Trust weighs up VAT cut to save families £1,300 a year.
And taking a look at the Independent here, it says billions set to be cut from foreign aid projects. This is as charities warn of crisis as funds diverted to help refugees in the UK. Still talking about a tight budget. That beautiful picture there on the front page of the Carnival comeback at Notting Hill returns inflation, economic crisis or not.
And this is the I-paper. It says, trusts under pressure to offer energy help for all.
All right, let's call in Emmanuel. Emmanuel, glad to have you. Good morning to you. Yeah, all right. Let's start with our sister publication, this day newspaper. It says on the front page, how Tinubu's zero commitment at London meeting forced Wike back to Atiku, still giving Atiku some, what to do for them to get on together. It has about 3 riders. The engagement between PDP presidential candidate Rivers governor face saving. Obasanjo denies supporting any candidate, and Shekarau joins main opposition party today. You want to look at this, and then the fact that Sanwo-Olu, with right choices in 2023, we can create tomorrow to be proud of. Emmanuel. Hello, Emmanuel.
How are we?
Yeah, did you?
How was the weekend?
It was good. It was beautiful. How was yours?
Great.
Good.
Yes, and it's Monday. Normally, this day will have led with a big business story, but it's leading with what is on the mind of everyone now. Yes, politics, and of course, we have some, some interesting business stories there too. Collaboration between Nigeria and Brazil, for instance, those are very great stories. What the CBN is doing, great story. But yes, this story. India, I know we've been talking about this. I mean, we have practically become the Wike analysts, talking about what Wike is doing and what it's not doing. And now, this story, I think it's exclusive on the this day, because it's going back into the meetings that happened at the weekend in London. The story is clearly showing that Wike didn't have a fantastic outing in London. If anything, Atiku won in all those collections of meetings that we're seeing. Wike wanted, according to this story, Wike wanted to get some commitment from the Tinubu camp. Didn't get that, and so he ran back to the Atiku camp. Looks to me as if the options have narrowed for Wike. And you and I know the character we are talking about very well. If he had had any serious victories in those meetings, you would have seen him all over the place, grandstanding and still talking about. He spent close to 2-3 weeks talking about how powerful he is, how he runs the Rivers show, how nobody gets to Rivers unless through him, how he's the governor of Rivers State and has the state in his hands. But London seemed to be, those London meetings seem to have shifted that a bit. So, and it was a good outing for Atiku, it appears. The PDP had a good weekend, and it's going to be followed up today, as we speak, by a very huge decamping that's happening in Kano. I guess other papers we're looking at those stories too up ahead, but it looks like a good one for the PDP. And if you're asking me, if you're asking in the face-off between Atiku and Wike who won, I will say that yes, Atiku got this one right, and Wike not so much of a good outing in London. Clearly, if you look at the story, the story, it was very clear that Wike must remain in the PDP, not only because of the presidential races, but because of races that he's directly involved with. He has got many dogs in the race. He's got a governorship candidate. One of the governors in his camp has got senatorial ambition, and it's all their fate is all tied with what happened at the presidential election. They know that very well. So the idea of even staying within the party that we talked about last week, that Wike probably will stay in the party and work against the party from inside, doesn't seem to be a very robust option for him right now.
Lots of meetings really taking place, and of course the meeting by former President Olusegun Obasanjo clearly making the rounds in papers also on The Nation. He says, I have no preferred candidate but a national agenda. Any idea what you think is playing out behind the scenes here?
Well, it's difficult to know what's his national agenda other than the race itself that is up. We're watching. I think this is some way of trying to say, look, I don't have a horse in this race. I'm not backing Obi. They've been talk that he's fraternizing with the Obi camp. But in fairness to the former president, he has seen everyone. There are pictures saying that showing clearly that he's met practically with everyone. And like an elder statesman has given his words of blessings to every camp. So it's difficult to say that, well, this is who he's supporting. Of course, some people, the Obi camp will think that, look, he's more, he's more, disposed to them, because he said things like in the past, like, the kind of leader that this country wants, talking about even a youthful leader, and with all those qualities that the Obi camp believes strongly that their man have. So, but now he's saying that, look, no, I am not backing anyone. I have got my national agenda myself. We're going to see what that national agenda is, but if we know Obasanjo very well, he's been there, and those meetings that he had with at the Opium Mansion yesterday in Mina is typical of him. These are leaders too in the past that always in every election, presidential election cycle, everybody looks at that direction to know what they really think. So with himself, Absalami, and former President Babangida, it's clear that according to him, there's a national agenda, and he's now saying that, look, these people are also backing that. So it's for us to fact check and see what that agenda is. But I can assure you that a lot of presidential candidates will want to be part and parcel of whatever support they can eke from Obasanjo or from these other two men.
Emmanuel, ASU is to review its 6-month-old strike today. Should we expect them to call it off?
Well, you and I, we've been pleading with ASU to look at this. It's come to that, and it's not just our voice. A lot of people have been calling them to consider the hardship. There was a story earlier before we came on the network here, looking at the various crises of the hardship that's been imposed on students and even the lecturers. And I think India and I and you, the other day, Kenneth, we looked at the various sides to this, and we decided that, look, I mean, a call-off will be better for everyone, even better for the lecturers themselves who are staying home now, especially those who really love to do what they like doing, which is to lecture. If they have those who have a passion for scholarship for students, maybe it's a time to appeal to their conscience, to say, look, if those who you are negotiating with will not listen to you, you probably have to do it on patriotic grounds, on humanitarian grounds, to actually call off the strike. So yes, all eyes are going to be turned to this. I think everyone is battle weary now on all sides of this matter. But if anything, I think more Nigerians are weighing on and asking us to reconsider for the sake of the future generation. If politicians don't care about the future generation, lecturers and teachers should not actually toe the same line as politicians.
All right, Emmanuel, 2 or 3 interesting stories. One in The Guardian, it's hidden. Let me bring it out. NEF scribe, that is Northern Elders Forum, the scribe berates political class for meeting abroad over national issues. That's one. And then just down there on the blue strip or stripe, Nigerians top list of study visas to UK and US. And if you look at the nation's own door, the governor is asking teachers not to enroll their wards into private schools. What do you make of these stories, Emmanuel?
Well, the private school bit is interesting, but that's true. It's the presence of those private schools, whether here or abroad, that has caused or deepened the crisis around the issue of ASU, because those are public schools. And in the past, you find policymakers, whether it's at the level of the Ministry of Education or even the government itself, who have their children practically in those private schools and not in the schools that you and I have attended in the past, and for the majority of Nigeria, and that's the school they find to go. You find out that those policymakers and people up there don't have their children in this school. Some people even say that is why government and government officials are not really concerned about the ASU strike. They don't have their children in this school, so it doesn't really matter to them. So that's worrisome. And yes, those kind of calls is important. Then the other thing too is also a patriotic appeal that, look, why are you discussing matters that concern this country in London? When you see these leaders in London talking about it, it's reminiscent of the 50s and the 40s when London used to be the meeting ground to discuss what happens back in Africa and in the colonies. But we have come of age. It's strange. You don't even have African countries coming to Nigeria to discuss what's happening in their capitals. But here you have, last weekend, what we have is we were regaled with pictures and stories of top leaders of this country meeting in London and discussing what affects us. It's troubling if the patriotic part of you will begin to wonder what's going. There are people who say, no, well, it's just mere location, and it is just these people on holidays elsewhere, which is actually a problem to a lot of people. A lot of people actually discuss that, to say, why do our leaders love to go abroad, love to, stay away to do things elsewhere when they can actually holiday here. There are many places to go for holiday here or to have those kind of exotic meetings. You have the Mambila Plateau in Taraba. It's as cold as anywhere. If you're looking, if it's the weather quality, you're looking for Obudu or any other tourist place where you can do things here. But then, well, this is the situation we find ourselves. Our leaders consistently, when it is not medical tourism, it is meetings like this. And the body, that Islamic body is right in saying, why should you have those meetings elsewhere? It takes away from your nationalism, from your patriotism, for actually even what we are talking about, the local content of some of these things. If you want to run this country, then you better show some goodwill in doing everything you want to do within here and localize those meetings and give us a sense of pride while doing that.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel.